This is the Lords of the Fallen. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is the latest Dark Souls-esque experience available. This one is quite technically demanding, and it's unleashing the power of Unreal Engine 5, which in turn does cause a lot of performance problems, and we're going to be diving into that within, the video, obviously. So we've got two different graphical options to choose from. The first, which we're on now, is a performance mode. So that is 1080p, 60 FPS, and there is some level of temporal scaling again that is present here. So the game can get quite murky at times. I'm imagining some level of FSR applied as well, just because of the certain elements, which is a resolution scaling technology, just due to how fuzzy things and stuff look within the game. But you do get 60 FPS when it does hit 60 FPS. This game really does struggle to the point where some areas I was essentially hitting like 5 like it was like a slideshow. There are some areas where the game is literally like a slideshow. So we're gonna switch to the next mode. So this is the quality mode. So quality mode is a little bit of a bump up. It's 1440p at 30 FPS, as you can tell, and it does look visually better. It does. But, obviously having that frame drop and having a frame rate that isn't very great is not ideal. So I would personally go with the performance mode, but if you do want this game to look a bit better and you can handle lower frame rates for your Dark Souls-esque experience, then that is an option for you. So the game has stutters. The game has some bugs. If you're multiplayer, like we have co-op going on, so you can do 2 players if you kind of matchmake, or you can like do battles and stuff like that. So there's a multiplayer system in this. Ally lost connection. But there are certain points where also like the matchmaking won't work, and you may have to restart the game in order for the multiplayer to work. I just assumed nobody was playing. I guess people were playing after like an hour or so of it not working, and I had to restart the game in order for the multiplayer to like reconnect or work again. There are issues with AI getting stuck in walls, in the floor. It's a real mess, and this is after a number of updates. This is like at the point of the most recent update to the game. So like it definitely has received a number of like patches. So I would have actually really liked to see what this would have looked like at an earlier time. I think would have been absolutely fascinating. So some other elements. This does have HDR support. It does have spatial sound, Dolby Atmos, and DTS:X support. And ray tracing is applied. So that element is intriguing. I believe it to be some level of illumination, maybe some shadow context, but like, yeah, it's just like I don't really know how to best describe it, but like just the way that the resolution everything is handled in this, it's like it's it's a good looking game, if that makes sense, but it's got a lot of problems, and it's like Dark Souls, but the big twist is there's this other world. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot we gotta be in the ethereal thing. So it's kind of like if you played The Medium. So there was this game called The Medium that came out around the launch of the current gen, and the idea is that there's 2 concurrent worlds going on. So that's what's happened here. So when you die, or when you use your lantern bearer in this for whatever reason, which is a big part of the Holy Lands, of the god things, and there's people that you cure, and... Anyways, so there's, like, as you're playing concurrently in the backdrop of this, there is this, like, ethereal, weird ghost plane going on. So it's like a whole other world, and you use your lantern to kind of, like, present that, and you can switch to it at any point. So, like, if you die, you switch to it. It's kind of like if you ever played Mortal Shell, which is another Dark Souls-esque game. That one kind of, like, when you die in that one, you become like a shell, and you get, like, a sort of a second life, as to say. So that's... the parkour in this game sucks. Straight up, the parkour is awful. I know that wasn't my best, like, jump attack, or jump movement, but, like, there's a few parkour segments in this, and this just sucks. Anyways, so, like, it's a neat concept because you use it to solve puzzles to a degree, and to, like, explore places. So, yeah, it's like an exploration-based thing where you can open up doors that you can't go to because you can go into the ethereal, and it's like... This is the area I was talking about where the performance can just be, like, abysmal. I like this lady. She's cute. And she upgrades your blood thing so that you can become more powerful. It's really cool. It's like a very touching moment when you know, get like this heavenly divine renewal thing or whatever. Anyways, yeah, it's like it's always here, this like other world, and you use the lantern to like bear into it, or you can throw yourself into it entirely, and it's like an extra level of like puzzle. Like, it's a neat concept, but it's sort of like this really tedious, like, extra stuff. It's like, it's Dark Souls with extra work. if that makes any sort of sense. It's like this extra level of, like, you know, I've already got all this stuff going on. Now I also have to deal with, you know, this this situation of, like, this other world that's going on there, and it's kind of creepy. Like, there's these eyes and stuff, and like this area was what I was talking about, where the performance just kind of like tanks in here, and just like the stutters. But like, it looks cool. I think this would be really neat on like a next gen console. So I'm really looking forward to. Oh, they're all actually working now. That's funny. Yeah, last time I was here, they were all stuck in the floor. But like, I'm looking forward to taking a revisit to this on a console down the line. Like, I think that in itself would be kind of intriguing, to actually see this one be a little bit more performant on the console side of things. Because, like, at the current point in time... Whoa. Who is that guy? At the current point in time, it's just like... It's not in a great state, if that makes sense. And it's like, I think this game could look really, really good. Honestly. I think this game could look really great. But I don't know if it's the console that is just not good enough, or what, or if it needs more fixes. Because, like, again, keep in mind, this is like a couple weeks after the launch, and there's been, you know, numerous updates to this game. So they've been trying to fix it up, and it's just like, yeah, it's not, I don't know, it needs a lot of work, from the stutters to the performance issues. And like, honestly, if you like Dark Souls, you like that genre, you're into the Souls-like genre, it's not a bad take on that. Like, you know, you level up your like gear and your character when you grab, you know, the souls and stuff, and you have different equipment, and there's like some different classes you pick, and you can have different abilities, and you know, it's neat to have someone in co-op when that works, and you know, the environment's responsive, it's pretty grotesque looking, there's a good variety of enemies and some neat move sets, and I would, you know, if it weren't for all of the, you know, very apparent technical issues, I would actually call it a bit more of like a polished Dark Souls, if that makes sense. Like, it just sort of is a cleaner kind of take on that concept, but yeah, it's just like the quality here is like abysmal. Like it honestly, like I was trying to get my hands on this a lot earlier, and like they just weren't, as far as I'm understanding, they just literally were not handing out stuff for this game because it was just in too bad of a state. And I was like, can I check it out? After I was like, you know, checking out one of the, you know, kind of like emails, basically, that's like, hey, we've been doing updates. And I was like, okay, well, can I finally take a look at it? And they're like, yeah, here's a code. And I was like, great. So that's where we're kind of at now. And I would have really liked to see this at launch. It would have been interesting, and just to see the updates. But obviously, you know, we're taking a look at this when we can. And we may do some further revisits, too, with big updates to see where everything is at. But, like, I hope I'm kind of giving you at least a little bit of an idea of it from what I've done so far of this experience. It's just, like, I don't know, it's that same sort of thing, where it's like, you're kind of... Well, this one also I have a little bit more traversal kind of problems, like knowing where I'm going. I was like, I did these, like, weird loops, but I think you had to do those weird loops. I don't know. It's, like, it's linear, like, it's an open environment to a degree, but it is, you know, you linearly progress, and you go through different areas, but who knows, maybe you'll find like a side area where like your lantern kind of takes you, and maybe there's like a secret chest or something like that. And like the concept of it is neat with the lantern, but for me it's just like an extra level of like, I already have to, you know, I'm already fighting all these enemies, I'm already dealing with the souls of it, and then there's like this otherworldly kind of thing going on, and it's just like, you know, who has the time to deal with all this stuff? Like, there was a boss here that just took a ridiculous amount of time, mostly because I couldn't find anybody for co-op. The game is, if you can play cooperatively, like if you can come across other people, I highly, highly recommend that, because it's just, like, not very, at least for me, it was just not fun to play by myself at all. You know, I'm not, like, huge on these Souls games. I did beat Elden Ring, so I don't want to hear that I can't handle these types of things. I did beat Elden Ring all the way through. That part's funny. So it's like, like it's a neat experience. It is something different. Like, you know, they are trying something new genre-wise. Like, they are, to a degree, mixing things up. You know, is it entirely different from what we've seen in the past? Not really, but it's got, like, it's Dark Souls with a twist. You know, and will that be enough of a twist for you? I'm sure if you're a Dark Souls-like player, you know, you're actually eating pretty good these days. There's lots of options, right? There are so many games like this out there. And this one, I think, to me, feels very close to, like, that original kind of game, like those original Dark Souls games. So you might find this one to be interesting. It's got some neat mechanics. It's got pretty well-tuned gameplay. It's just, like, as I said, the performance and stuff really, to me, holds this back quite a bit on the platform. You might have a better time exploring this in like, other ways, quite honestly. And it's just like, you know, I couldn't really imagine, just because I've gotten so used to it, I couldn't imagine playing this at, like, the lower frame rate setting, if that makes sense. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. And in this one, there's all these, like, stutters and issues, and, you know, not saying quality mode is necessarily any better, but it's just like, and then there's the murkiness, where, like, a lot of the things, especially a lot of the stuff that moves, it's just got such a level of, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's so, it's not necessarily pixelated, but it's just, like, really FSR-ish, which, you know, it doesn't look great, if that makes sense. Like, it's just, some of it doesn't look great. And I'm sure the game and the console and the TV are all doing its best to present it in, like, a visually better way, but, like, it is noticeable. It does load really fast, though. I will say that. Loading is fast. You know, it's, when working, like, when multiplayer is working, it's pretty cool. You know, I've seen, like, all types of different players. Guy had, like, bare arms. Some was a bit more sword-like, or like one sword-like, and so there's, you know what I mean? There's different like layers to this one where I'm kind of like I like some elements of it, and I just think it would be a much better experience if, hey, Major Melky. I played with that guy the other day, but like it would just be, it would be much better if it was just running well. And the boss here was like a lady that looked like she was from Silent Hill, which was really creepy, and so like the art direction is really good. I mean, I don't know if you've been taking in the environments I've been kind of working through a few times, because, you know, I die and I go through it again. But, like, they look really neat. There's a great sense of, like, adventure. There's this whole other world that's, like, on the flip side of it, which is only powerful with the magic of current-gen technology. But like I said, it's just... It's a combination of, like, multiplayer connection issues, because then I'd have to go back to a stake thing to matchmake with someone. It's the bugs, it's the performance. It just really does impact this in a negative way. Also, I wasn't too blown away by like the voice acting, which sounds silly, but like there are some cutscenes with some characters, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. I felt it could have been a little better on that part too. It's and weirdly, some of the cutscenes are like really broken. I don't know how to describe that. Some of the cutscenes, like some of the things and the cutscenes themselves, seem to run at like 15 FPS or less. So you'll have like goo running at like a really weird frame rate, and I don't believe that was an aesthetic choice. It's really strange, and it's like your main cutscenes seem to have that problem. It seems like anything that's like in-game kind of rendered, if that makes sense to you at all, that stuff seems to be fine, and well, maybe it is all in-game rendered, but I don't know. There's certain cinematics where I'm just kind of like, this looks weird. I don't understand why it's running like that. And then, you know, it's just like, it's really quite strange. And that's where I'm sort of like, this game has a really uncomfortable mismatch of, you know, perplexion, or, yeah, it's just perplexing to me. Oh, jeez, we died again. I hate these guys, they're so annoying. It's just like, there's so much about this where I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool, it's kind of neat, and then there's a lot of it where I'm just like, I'm so tired of this genre of game. It's like, you played one Dark Souls game, you've played them all. I literally feel, and I don't know if I'm just going crazy there, I feel like I play one of these every month, and I wish there was something, I don't know, like kind of a larger hook, because I'm like, oh cool, there's another world, and I'm just sort of, I don't know if that really adds anything to me that excites me, or just makes me go, there's something else I have to deal with while I'm dealing with, like, bosses killing me, enemies killing me, you know, performance problems, visual, you know, issues, stutters, connection problems. It's just like one more extra thing, and it doesn't, like, it's I would call it a bit of a novel concept, throwing that within the land of a Dark Souls type thing, but I'm just sort of like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen that a few times this gen already, and like, I get that it's something that they're like, oh, we can finally do because we have the tech, but it's like, I don't know if I've seen it necessarily done in a way where I'm like, oh. Like the Medium, you know, I like that one quite a bit. I thought that was fascinating, you can switch between the two worlds. But I still feel like the concept hasn't been used in a crazy way that, like, is genuinely shocking. Like, this is just sort of like, oh, another world. I'm like, oh, cool. Whatever. I don't know. It's just like, it's just annoying. It's just like, this is just to me another Dark Souls game. I'm like, oh, okay. And I've said that word, that game's title, many times over, because I'm just like, I'm not sure what in this distinctly makes this quite unique. Like, I played the original Lords of the Fallen, and I was like, that was different. And this just feels more like, we've got a Dark Souls-like thing. Let's just lean into it and do a little bit more of a spin. So, I would say if you're a fan of the Souls, you'll probably really like this. You will. but I would maybe check to make sure that their performance is patched up a bit more.